Have you ever stopped to wonder why some women choose to live alone? No partner, no frantic search for love, no rush to fill the space beside them. It's not because they're lonely, unlucky, or stuck in the past. It's not about broken hearts or giving up on romance. There's something deeper at play, something that shakes up everything we've been taught about what a woman's life should look like. When a woman decides to walk her path solo, she's not lost. She's finding herself. And that journey, it's not loud or flashy. It's quiet, powerful, and often misunderstood. Picture this, a woman who wakes up each morning in a space that's entirely her own. No one else's socks on the floor, no one else's schedule to juggle, just her and her thoughts. She's not sitting there pining for someone to complete her. She's not scrolling dating apps, desperate for a match. Instead, she's sipping her coffee, maybe journaling, maybe staring out the window, letting her mind wander. She's choosing herself day after day, and that choice, it's radical. It's not about shutting the world out, it's about letting her own truth in. That kind of self-discovery doesn't come with applause or likes on social media. It comes with silent strength and a kind of freedom most people don't even realize they're craving. Now let's be real. Society doesn't always know what to do with a woman like this. We're fed this story that a woman's life isn't complete without a partner, that her worth is tied to being someone's other half. But a woman who lives alone, who doesn't need a relationship to feel whole, she flips that story on its head. She's not lonely, she's selective. She's not cold, she's just done pouring her heart into people who don't see its value. And that, my friend, is where the magic happens. That's where she starts to rewrite her own rules. Carl Jung, this brilliant thinker from way back, talked about something called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, ignore, or push away because they're messy or inconvenient. For a lot of women who choose solitude, they're not running from love or connection. They're facing that shadow head on. They're digging into the parts of themselves they've been taught to bury, the doubts, the fears, the old wounds from childhood or past relationships. These women aren't just single. They're a mirror for the rest of us, reflecting what it looks like to have the courage to be whole on your own. They don't shout for attention or beg for love. They whisper their truth, quietly carving out a life that feels authentic to them. I remember a friend of mine, Sarah, who fits this to a T. She's in her late 30s, lives in a cozy apartment filled with plants and books, and she's been single for years. People always ask her, "Why aren't you dating? You're so great, you could have anyone." And she just smiles, this calm, knowing smile, and says, "I'm not in a rush." Sarah's not waiting for a prince to sweep her off her feet. She's not looking for someone to fix her life. She's spent years getting to know herself, her quirks, her dreams, the things that make her light up, and the things that still sting from her past. She's not against love, but she's not chasing it either. She's too busy building a life she loves, one that doesn't need someone else to make it complete. That kind of confidence, it's unsettling to some. A woman who doesn't need a relationship to feel valid challenges everything we've been taught about love and worth. It's like she's pulling the curtain back on this idea that we're all supposed to be scrambling for a partner, as if being alone is some kind of failure. But here's the thing, her solitude isn't failure, it's freedom. She's not sitting there feeling empty. She's full of her own dreams, her own strength, her own peace. And that peace, it's hard-won. It's the kind of peace you only get after you've faced your demons and come out the other side. Jung said that everything we don't face in ourselves becomes part of our shadow, and we end up projecting it onto others. Maybe that's why some people get so uncomfortable around women like Sarah. They see her living her truth, and it makes them question their own choices. They call her picky or distant, but what they're really seeing is someone who's done the work to know herself. She's not hiding from the world. She's protecting the world she's built within herself. Her apartment, her routines, her quiet evenings, they're not a fortress to keep people out. They're a sanctuary where she gets to be fully herself. Let's talk about what that sanctuary looks like. It's not always Instagram perfect. It's not always candlelit baths and perfectly curated playlists. Sometimes it's messy, dishes in the sink, doubts creeping in at 2 a.m., moments where she wonders if she's doing this whole life thing right. But even in those moments, she's not running to fill the void with someone else. She's sitting with it, learning from it, letting it teach her. That's the difference. She's not looking for someone to distract her from herself. She's learning to be her own best company. This woman knows what it's like to lose herself in love. Maybe she's been there, giving too much, loving too hard, bending herself into shapes that didn't fit just to keep someone else happy. Maybe she stayed up late crying over someone who didn't deserve her tears, or maybe she spent years trying to fix a relationship that was never going to work. But at some point, something shifted. Maybe it was one big heartbreak, or maybe it was a slow drip of disappointments that finally woke her up. Either way, she decided she was done settling for crumbs. She decided she deserved more, not from someone else, but from herself. That decision, it's not a one-time thing, it's a daily choice. Every morning she wakes up and chooses herself. She chooses to pour her energy into her passions, her growth, her healing. She's not against love. She's just done with versions of it that make her feel small. She wants a love that sees her, that respects her, that doesn't ask her to dim her light to make someone else comfortable. And until that kind of love shows up, she's good, she's whole, she's enough. Jung called this process individuation, becoming the fullest version of yourself, not by cutting out the messy parts, but by embracing them. This woman is living that. She's faced her shadows, those old fears of being too much or not enough, the voices that told her she needed someone else to be valid. She's looked at those fears and said, not today. She's rebuilt herself piece by piece, and now she's not willing to be half of anything. She doesn't want someone to complete her. She wants someone to share her completeness with. That's a tall order, and she knows it. It's not about being picky or demanding perfection. It's about knowing her worth and refusing to settle for less. She's not looking for a fairy tale or a Hollywood romance. She wants something real, a connection where both people show up fully, no masks, no games. She wants someone who's done their own work, who's faced their own shadows, who's not afraid to dive into the deep end of life with her. And let's be honest, that's rare. It's not something you find on every dating app or at every coffee shop. So she's okay waiting. She's not in a hurry, because rushing means settling, and she's done with that. This woman's strength isn't loud or showy. It's quiet, like the way the seasons change, steady, undeniable, but not in your face. She doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. She's not out there shouting about her independence or posting about how strong she is. Her power is in the way she moves through the world, calm, centered, unapologetic. She's not trying to fit into anyone's idea of who she should be. She's just being herself, and that's enough. But let's not kid ourselves. Her path isn't always easy. There are days when the world feels heavy, when the pressure to find someone creeps in, when she wonders if she's missing out. She's human after all. She feels the sting of comments like, "You're too independent," or "You'll find someone when you least expect it." She hears the whispers that she's too much or not trying hard enough. But she's learned to let those words slide off her. She knows they're not about her. They're about the discomfort other people feel when they see someone living life on their own terms. I think of another woman I know, Maria, who's in her 50s and has been single for over a decade. Maria's not bitter or closed off. She's vibrant, funny, and fiercely herself. She's got a garden she tends to like it's her baby, and she hosts these amazing dinner parties where everyone leaves feeling seen and heard. When people ask why she's not married, she laughs and says, "I'm married to my life." Maria's not against love. She's just found so much joy in her own company that she's not willing to trade it for anything less than extraordinary. She's not waiting for someone to complete her story. She's writing it herself, and it's a beautiful one. Maria, Sarah, and women like them, they're not anomalies. They're part of a shift, a new way of being that's quietly taking root. They're showing us that you don't need a partner to be whole, that solitude isn't a curse but a gift, They're living proof that happiness doesn't come from someone else. It comes from within. And that's a truth that shakes things up. It challenges the old stories we've been told about love, about women, about what it means to live a good life. Jung said that when we look outward, we dream, but when we look inward, we awaken. These women are awake. They've done the hard work of looking inside, of facing the parts of themselves they were taught to hide. They've wrestled with their fears, their doubts, their pasts, and they've come out stronger. They've learned that love isn't about clinging to someone else. It's about standing tall in your own truth. And when you stand in that truth, you don't need anyone else to validate you. You validate yourself. That's not to say these women don't want love. They do. They want to be held, to laugh with someone, to share their lives. But they want it on their terms. They want a love that doesn't ask them to shrink or change or pretend. They want a love that's as big as they are, that lets them be their full, messy, beautiful selves. And if that love hasn't shown up, yet they're not sitting around waiting. They're living, they're growing. They're creating lives that are full and rich and theirs. This kind of woman is a quiet revolution. She's not out there trying to prove a point or change the world. She's just being herself, and that's enough to shift the energy around her. When she walks into a room, you feel it, not because she's loud or flashy, but because she's whole. She's not looking for approval or attention. She's just present, and that presence is powerful. It's the kind of power that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to apologize for it. The world might try to tell her she's doing it wrong. It might say she's too picky, too independent, too hard to love. But she knows better. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for truth. She's not waiting for someone to save her. She's already saved herself. And that's what makes her so compelling, so inspiring, so dangerous to a world that wants women to stay small. Jung said that what we face within becomes our destiny. And this woman is writing hers with every choice she makes. She's not afraid to say no to what doesn't serve her. She's not afraid to walk away from what doesn't feel right. She's not afraid to be alone, because she knows that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. It's a choice, a vow to herself to never settle for less than she deserves. If you're reading this and something stirs inside you, maybe it's because you see a piece of yourself in her story. Maybe you felt the weight of the world telling you to hurry up, to find someone, to fit in. Maybe you've wondered if being alone means you're doing something wrong. But let me tell you something. This woman's story is a reminder that you're enough just as you are. You don't need someone else to complete you. You don't need to rush or settle or change to be worthy of love. The love that matters most starts with you. It's the love you give yourself when you choose to honor your own heart, your own truth, your own path. It's the love that grows in the quiet moments, in the spaces where you learn to be your own best friend. And when you find that love, everything else changes. You stop chasing, you start choosing, you stop begging, you start building. You stop waiting, you start living. This woman who lives alone, she's not just a person. She's a symbol of what's possible when you dare to choose yourself. She's a reminder that solitude isn't a punishment. It's a gift. A chance to know yourself, to heal, to grow, to become the fullest version of who you are. And when love does come, it won't be about filling a void. It'll be about sharing the overflow of a life you've already made beautiful. So if this story speaks to you, if it lights something up inside, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's ready to remember their own strength, their own worth, their own power. Because when one woman chooses herself, she lights a spark that can spread to others. And in a world that's always trying to tell us we're not enough, that spark is nothing short of revolutionary.